Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports on a Monday morning, and we're going to have a good conversation this morning about Week 9 in the NFL. That's right, Week 9, Sunday night, concluded last night. We may talk about that one first. There is a report out this morning that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski retired at the start of the game last night, and two imposters filled in for them during the game. The player wearing number 12 for the Bucs. Oh, by the way, New Orleans wins 38-3. It was over before it started. It was 28-0 after dinner. I'm just telling you, this was like the worst game I have ever watched in my life. For two teams who were supposedly fairly even, the Saints totally controlled the game. You had to see it to believe it. It was, in my opinion, the worst game Brady has ever played as a professional. He was off. He threw interceptions. Gronkowski only caught one ball for 2 yards. Look, they set a record last night. If you don't count the kneel down with just seconds left in the game to end the pain of the game, let me tell you how it ended. So the Saints have the ball with 2 minutes left. Everybody has timeouts. But instead of running plays, the Saints, it was already 38-3. They just go into victory formation and take knees. Okay, so on fourth down, they do the same thing. And so the Bucs get the ball back with about 30 seconds left in the game. Put in their second-string quarterback, Goddard. He takes the knee in victory formation, although it wasn't victory formation at all. And that was the fifth official running play of the night. They only ran the ball 4 times for 9 yards all night long. That is an NFL record, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. So if you're into records, there is one. And if you ever hear what's the fewest times a team has run the ball in an NFL game, you can say Tampa Bay, November 8th, 2025, really 4, not counting the kneel down, against the Saints. For New Orleans, Mike Thomas was back. He was involved. Drew Brees looked sharp. Fournette looked good. I tell you what's really impressive to me about New Orleans, and for all the talk about how Tampa may be the Super Bowl representative from the NFC, what impresses me about New Orleans, at least two things that aren't talked about a lot. We talk about Drew Brees and we talk about the passing and the running and those things, okay? But that offensive line for New Orleans is impressive. I'm going to tell you something. Tampa put no pressure on Brees. It was like he had all day to throw the ball. When they put in another quarterback, it was the same thing. I mean, it was domination up front on the O-line by the Saints. That's the first thing that I think rings true. Second of all, the Saint defense is really good. It's probably the most underrated defenses in the NFL. For New Orleans to be able to go in last night to Tampa in some rainy conditions, it's Antonio Brown's first game. I mean, it's hoopla. Everybody's talking about, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are talking about Tampa Bay being the Super Bowl rep from the NFC. New Orleans goes in. They beat them earlier in the year, game 1, in fact, week 1. But this was not even a contest. And so another little thing last night is the first time Tom Brady's been swept in a season series. New Orleans is good. They looked really good yesterday. Exciting, no. Dominating, yes. So let's talk about another game. I got to talk about my Raiders for just a moment. Yeah, I do. I mean, the 5-3 Las Vegas Raiders, they're going to Los Angeles. I didn't say San Diego. They're going to Los Angeles yesterday to take on the Chargers. Herbert, an incredible talent at quarterback. The Raiders are leading 31-26. The Chargers have the ball. They're going down the field. It looks like another either late second loss or late second win. Remember last week against Denver, the Chargers lost on the last play of the game. Well, this week they lose on the last play of the game. Just a different last play, a different way to do it. Talk about finding ways to lose games. The Chargers have now only won 2 games this year, 2-6. And they had the ball around the 10-yard line of the Raiders. Passed on into the corner. It looked like a catch. The initial call was a touchdown. And that would have given the Chargers, as the clock expired, a 32-31 win. But, as all scoring plays are late in the game, it was reviewed. And it showed clearly the ball was out as the player hit the ground. The touchdown is waved off, and the Raiders move to 5-3. The Chargers fall to 2-6. The Raiders win 31-26. And what do we draw from this game? Well, if you're a fantasy player and you have Derek Carr on your team, know this: the Raiders have become a run-first team. Yesterday, Jacobs ran the ball really well. The backups ran the ball really well as also. So when the Raiders are getting a lead, they are relying on the run and less on the pass. Look at the Raiders' schedule coming up. It is a very, not easy, but it's much better the second half of the season for the Raiders than it was the first half of the season. Kurt Hinton chiming in this morning. Moved into second place in his league, facing number 1 this week. Let's talk about it, Kurt. We'll talk about it this morning if you want. Shoot me some players. We'll have something different to talk about other than just the games yesterday. Give me one at a time. I know you got the quarterback. Look, Kurt Hinton's got Kyler Murray as his quarterback. Kyler Murray, the number 1 scoring player in fantasy. Rushed for almost 100 yards yesterday. Let's jump into that Miami game. Miami wins 34-31 over the Cardinals. What a game. Tua starting for Miami. Murray with the great stats. It was a classic game. And I think when you look at how the Dolphins and comparing them to the Cardinals, both teams are now 5-3. Both teams have young quarterbacks, that's for sure. Okay? And Tua being his first start yesterday, look, stats not blow you away. He was 20 of 28 for 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But he spread the ball around. Devontae Parker caught 6, Preston Williams caught 4. Williams had a touchdown. Running the ball, Tua rushed 7 times for 35 yards. Cardinals, though, comparatively speaking, look at Murray. 21 of 26, 283 through the air, 3 touchdown passes, and I said 90, it was 106. 11 rushes, 106 yards on the ground. That's a 9.6 yard per carry average, and he also got a rushing touchdown. Kyler Murray is your number 1. I never thought I'd say this, but this is the truth. This year, your top 2 quarterbacks are in the same division. And I know there's a really good quarterback out in Kansas City. I got it. And Kansas City seems to be going more to the air and less to the ground. And so these top 3 can be interchangeable. But I got Mahomes at 3, I got Russell Wilson at 2, and I got Kyler Murray at 1. And you talk about, I've read people talking about Russell Wilson being the MVP for the NFL this year. What about Kyler Murray? I mean, the Cardinals are 5-3. That's not chopped liver. That's a good record. The Dolphins are now 5-3. after that big win yesterday. These are quarterbacks who going forward are going to be productive. They're young. We'll keep our eye on both of them. All right. Let's take a look at that Steeler-Cowboy game. Going into that game yesterday, Dallas and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's undefeated. They were 7-0. The Cowboys were 2-6. The Steelers were a 2-touchdown favorite. Listening all week to fantasy radio, reading online, reading in Twitter. Oh, James Conner, he's the football guru running back of the week. I thought for a while maybe he had some medical issue yesterday. I didn't see him in the game. He only put up in my league 3 fantasy points. I guess the game script was what it was. Look, the Cowboys, I know they didn't win, but I think it was the best they have played this year. The defense they were into it. The offense was moving. Now, they settled for 4 field goals instead of a touchdown. If they could have converted some there into touchdowns. But Dallas led at halftime. Dallas led after 3 quarters. Pittsburgh scores 15 unanswered points in the 4th quarter. They were down 19-9 entering the 4th quarter. They score 15 points in the 4th quarter. And they win 24-19. Pittsburgh improves to 8-0, the first time in the history of the Steelers that they have started the year 8-0. The Cowboys fall to 2-7. Roethlisberger goes 29 for 42, 306, and 3 touchdowns. James Conner, like I said, he rushed 9 times for 22 yards. The Steelers as a team rushed 18 times for 46 yards. That's not what I call Steeler football. But receiving, Juju caught 6 for 93. Deontay Johnson, 6 for 77. Chase Claypool, 8 for 69. They were throwing the ball, line up in 5 wide receiver sets. And the Steelers continue to win yesterday over the Cowboys, 24-19. How about the Falcons? Somebody wake up the Falcons. They beat Denver yesterday, 34-27. The Falcons improved to 3-6. And I just got to think about, what if? What if the onside kick for Dallas doesn't work? Okay, now they're 4-5. There were 2 or 3 other games the Falcons could have easily won. They could have a winning record. They don't. But they're a better team than their record indicates. Yesterday, they led going into the 4th quarter over Denver, 27-6. It looked like Denver might mount this great comeback. They scored 21 in the 4th quarter, but the Falcons do win 34-27. From a fantasy viewpoint, Drew Lock went 25 for 48, 313 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Not much in the running department for Denver yesterday. They only rushed, Drew Lock had 47 rushing yards. He was the leading rusher. He had more yards combined than Lindsey and Gordon. But receiving the ball, look, Jerry Jeudy, 7 for 125. KJ Hamler, 6 for 75. And Noah Fant, 3 for 45. 3 receivers who combined caught 245 yards in the air for Denver. And then we look at the Falcons. Matt Ryan, just as Matt Ryan, 25 of 35, 284 yards, 3 touchdowns. Gurley rushed 19 times for 53 yards. Gurley is not productive yards per carry, only 2.8 yards per carry. But what Gurley does from running back position is he scores touchdowns. If you could ever get Todd Gurley where he wasn't scoring touchdowns, he loses productivity, but he doesn't stop scoring touchdowns.